What's going on, everybody? You're tuned in to the Talk About It podcast. I'm Lauren Fulmer.
I'm Victor Dantas.
And another episode, very excited to be putting out. We have Anthony Law with us today. Anthony.
Hello there. I'm excited to be here.
I'm happy to have you, man. I've had the opportunity to kind of working and getting to know you for, I was trying to think on the way here, 8 to 10 years, roughly.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And we've done some community food drives. We've done... you will get to it, I guess, with many things helping out the community and really enjoy your time and always laughing, man. We always have a good time. So I'm looking forward to today for sure.
Yes, sir.
So why don't you go ahead and just start off, though. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know, like I said, we've been working, but some of our listeners may not be familiar with what you do.
All right. Like you said, my name is Anthony Law. I know people always introduce themselves by what they do for a living. So I'm much more than that, but I'm going to keep with that. So to give people a reference, I am the coordinator of diversity and inclusion at Carl Sandburg College. I've been a resident of the area I was born in Galesburg, but I moved back after I got out of college and got my commission in the Army. And then I moved back. So I've been here roughly about 33 years. So I pride myself on being a part of both the Galesburg, Monmouth community. I went to school at Western, so that includes I'm Macomb as well. Let's see, I'm a husband, a father. I like to be active in the community simply because, and that's where most people know me, simply because I've always been that type of person that I feel like we all have a responsibility to make wherever we live, a better place. And, it's easy in social, I was doing it before social media, but in social media times, it's easy to post things you don't like. It's easy to sit back and then see all the likes and hits you get and have those conversations. The real challenge is, okay, if you post it, if you see it, if you observe it, and you don't like it, what are you going to do about it? So that's been my passion since I moved here. And even where I grew up in Joliet. And so Joliet, Illinois. So I had that same passion, so that's kind of what drives me. Other than that, I guess I consider myself, somewhat funny at times. I can be, as you'll see, hopefully today. To make some people laugh.
But one thing I'll jump on there, Anthony, you very much are active in the community and talking about do something about it. And not only do you kind of put some action with those words, but you've done a really good job of getting younger folks to also see that, believe that, and live that, including these international students that you continuously introduce me to. And that's a huge, huge part, is not only just being one person and going out and doing it, but getting other people on board with you. That's another accomplishment in itself.
When I started out doing that, I started out with the mindset that I wanted to see what our area looked like from their perspective. To be honest, it started with this. I saw a bumper sticker that said, Galesburg, a great place to die.
I was just going to say.
And I was like, where does this come from? So I'm the kind of person, anybody knows me, I'm the kind of person, I actually followed the truck I saw it on. And he parked downtown. He's going to the post office. I'll never forget. And I said, excuse me, where'd you get the bumper sticker? And he said, oh, they're selling them. A friend of mine sold me one. They're all over. And I said, why? What does that mean? And he kind of got defensive at first, but I said, no, let's be honest, you put it on your truck. It's got to mean something. And he just talked about Maytag closing and talked about, us losing some of the other job opportunities and different things. And I thought, okay. And, once you see something, like if you ever buy a car, you see all the cars, all of a sudden you see all the cars that look like yours are yours every place. Well, once I saw that bumper sticker, I started seeing a lot of them. And I started seeing the drivers mostly were older, people that were actually impacted. Most of our kids, the kids I was dealing with at the time, which were in the high school type age and junior high age, they weren't even born when Maytag closed at the time. So I thought, their Galesburg is a different perspective. I got to build on that. I have to give them a different view of what their community is, and also give them more power over whether their community is a place to love or hate. So one of the things, we started off simple. When I started with a group of students, I said, from the junior high, I said, what do you like best about Galesburg? And I asked that one first, because when you ask people what they don't like, man, they rattle it off like crazy.
Yeah.
But you ask them what they do, and sometimes, is that my cue?
I didn't know. I didn't know it was your foot. That's not you.
We got a cue going. If he kicks my foot, it's time for me to be quiet. But anyway.
We're not there yet.
No. All right, we're close though. But no, it was one of those things where, okay, how can we be empowered? So what do you like? So they liked some things. They liked some, and I said, how can we build on that? Build on the things that you like. You like some of the parks or facilities we have. What can we do? One of the easiest things we do is keep it clean. So we started doing those things like cleaning the parks. We started volunteering with different organizations that were already doing things. I said, let's find out who's making Galesburg great, and let's do our part. And then let's go to a city council meeting. Let's make an appointment to speak with the chief of police or with the fire chief or with the mayor and have conversations about your Galesburg. When the opportunities arise, let's start running for things. And if we're not old enough to run, let's start supporting those people that do run. Do something. Mm-hmm. Become the voice of your generation and the next generation. And so that's what we kind of did. And that's where my passion lies. I love the fact, and you spoke on the international students, and that's where Vic and I meet. I mean, we met where we start out because Vic was he came to Sandburg as a soccer player. And, I reached out to him. I saw a leader in him, and I wanted him to have a bigger experience in our community and at the college than just playing soccer.
Yes.
So I said, who are you? What can you do? How can you lead? What can you learn about this community? The one challenge I give all of my international students, and I gave Vic one, is it is so important that you teach what you know and learn what you can so that you become the best you can be, and this community becomes the best community it can be. So I challenge my international students. I don't want you hiding behind being someplace different. I don't want you hiding behind being from someplace, being someplace new. I want you to share. I want to know more about who you are and what your culture has to offer than I do today. And I want you to be willing to learn from me. Because if you're going to be here, I challenge you to hold on to the integrity of who you are, but also learn what it takes to be successful here. Mm-hmm. If you can combine those two things, the sky's the limit. And so Vic is one of those people, not because he's across the table, but because Vic knows I love him and I'm proud of him. And I've been that way for years. Mm-hmm. We've had those kind of conversations. Vic is the one that actually listened, one of the ones that listened and actually built on that. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that I learned about Vic, who he is, where he comes from, different things that helped me grow. But there's also a lot of things that I would talk when I got on my roles and I talked and half the room was asleep. I could always count on Vic to make eye contact because I could tell he was listening. Mm-hmm. He also used the opportunity, and I'm not telling your story, but I have to. He also used the opportunity to find other people who were willing to invest in him and learn from them.
Right.
And grow. And then, Victor kept doing things. It's like, he'd come see me and say, hey, I'm doing this now. And I'd be like, all right, great. And before we could finish celebrating that, Vic is at the door again. Hey, I'm doing this now. I'm like, man, okay, fantastic, I think. And then next thing you know, I'm sitting there giving him a high five. He said, oh, by the way, I'm going to try this too. And I love that. It's a fearless approach to something different. Mm-hmm. And so, that is, if all of my international students can have that experience for themselves, but also you look at the things that as a community, we benefit from you.
For sure.
I mean, you went on to graduate from Sandburg, went to Western, graduated, and then came back and gave the ultimate gift of coming back and taking over a program that needed you.
Yeah.
And having that same impact on those that followed you. Because let's be honest, this is the impact that every individual can have, but we had an influx of Brazilian football players. And if you trace it, like everything else, you trace that back to where it originated, to where the first person to make a real impact in that, it's got to be you.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
When I got here, there was only one Brazilian.
One Brazilian. That goes back to what I tell all of my students. Every single person on this earth has the potential to change the world. When Victor came here, he thought he was coming here to play soccer. But the reality is, because he was willing to listen and learn, he impacted people that he had never met before. Worldwide impact. You know, we've got a new coach now, and he's still getting emails and things from Brazilians.
Yeah.
Coming to Galesburg, Illinois.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely became a place where, you know, in Brazil, Galesburg is known. You know, all the sports exchange companies in Brazil, they know what Sandburg is, they know what Galesburg is, and who recruits students to come to Galesburg. You know, so, you know, I mean, thank you for all the words, and one thing, I mean, I recruited a lot of students, not only from Brazil, but from all over the world. A lot of European students, you know, Mexicans, Argentinians, all over. And it's just like what you said. The main thing is, I mean, of course, they want to come here to play soccer, to get scholarship, to go to school. But there's way more besides that. You know, at the end of the day, we don't want them to forget their culture. We want them to bring their culture. We don't want them to think like, oh, Galesburg, small town, I want to go back home. No, we want to include them. The inclusion is the biggest word. Yeah, we want all of them to be together, respecting their culture, and just as a whole try to become a bit better group or better community. You know, so yeah, I do see a lot of value in all those internationals coming to Galesburg. At the end of the day, it's a small town in the Midwest. Maybe a lot of people from Galesburg would think, oh, people would never come from London to come to Galesburg or from, you know, Paris, but people come, you know.
You know, I think for the most part, you're always going to have some people who may be stuck in their ways and say, oh, man, Galesburg's not my Galesburg, or but you know how it used to be. At the end of the day, change is good most of the time, but at least be open to it, you know. And I would like to think that most people are relatively open to that, you know, just having the conversations. But, and you know, on we've had conversation on Facebook, you know, it's real easy to just sit back there and post complaints. But, and I like what you said earlier about, okay, well, what are you going to do about it? You know, it's one thing to say something and then just sit there and leave it as a complaint. But if it was a big enough issue, like that bumper sticker, if it was a big enough issue, like it was real enough to you that you want to put it on your vehicle and drive it around, it clearly means something to you. So what can you do about it?
Exactly. You know, the reality is this. Everybody has their own perception. And perceptions are that's it. That's human nature. You can have your own perception. My thing is, if I live someplace that I hate, I got two choices. You know, I got two choices.
That's exactly how I think.
Either move
or do something.
Fix it. Anybody who decides that I'm going to stay in a place that I don't like and I don't see a future and I don't see a value in, that's the definition to me of being stone cold crazy. Why would you want to? There's things that you can change. And I mean, I can't change. I may not be able to change things instantaneously on a worldwide level. But think of every worldwide change that has taken place in your lifetime. If you walk it all down to the very beginning, it started with one or two people.
Yeah.
Everything, one person. You know, I look at our relationship. You know, we started out, I think I met you through Joey. And we started out, and having a conversation. And what you did, you gave those students, those young people who did not have a voice, whether it be their perception or the reality. But the reality is, let's be honest, we're starting to make a change in our community. But we historically, think about it. Think of our leaderships. And not knocking anybody, but think of our leaderships. Most of the time, they're my age or older because everybody wastes their turn. And there's value given to experience and age. And I'm not saying it's not deserved, but what I'm saying is that same value needs to be given to our young people because they see things differently. But we typically don't give a voice. So what you did on your platform that you had, you gave students a voice. You gave my students an opportunity to say who they are, what they see, and what they're willing to do on a platform that they didn't have before. And I always be grateful for that because, for some of the students on their way home, they're talking about, man, I was on the radio. Yeah. And you weren't on the radio, people saying that you got arrested last night. You weren't on the radio being an idiot. Mm-hmm. You were on there with a valuable statement. And somebody you don't know heard the words that came out of your mouth and their life was impacted. I don't know how. Either you made them more mad or you motivated them to get off their behinds. One way or the other, or you supported what they believe and they're actually going to do something about it. But it gives value. So though the fact that young people were given that opportunity, I appreciate that because as you see, and initially when we started doing those things and we'd bring young people, that was it. Mm-hmm. It was people my age, and I'm older than both of you, so people my age and mostly, and you guys doing the interview, you guys being out there.
Sure.
Now you've got, because of your willingness to give a voice, you've got other organizations reaching out and saying, hey, I've got a group of young people that I can put on there. Mm-hmm. It's once again, you may not have seen it at the time. For you, it might have just been, hey, I know Joey and I'm going to have the Solutions Kids and thought it'd be cute or whatever the case may be, whatever your mindset was. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if you had the vision that 5 years later that people are going to be fighting for space because they saw the value in what those young people had to say. Yeah. And so once again, it's the simple things that we do every single day.
Yeah.
That have the potential to be impactful for generations.
For sure.
For me, one of the main reasons I even came that day to a Solutions program, I got a special place in my heart for youth, especially who are like wanting to do better, And we talk to those kids. I try to each time, but like it doesn't matter if you got in trouble last week or you got some poor grades or you've been kicked out of school. Especially at that age, you are nowhere close to defining who you're going to be or who you are as a person, right? I mean, you just messed up. It's okay. Mm-hmm. And to get I got a dry throat. To get the opportunity though to be around those kids and man, the way they engage and interact and you could see right away they're very special kids. I think all of us are very special mm-hmm. if you get the opportunity or even in a position to bring it out. Mm-hmm. And that's what I feel a lot of our youth, they just need someone help to give them the confidence that you're good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You deserve every opportunity just as much as the other kid down the mm-hmm. street. It doesn't matter. But nothing's going to be given to you. That's my main thing. Mm-hmm. And I think as young adults, I mean, we have grown-ups, older than you. Mm-hmm. You say, I don't use that, mm-hmm. but I mean, age doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. We have people who still think they truly are entitled mm-hmm. or just supposed to get something mm-hmm. because they put in their time. Mm-hmm. Like, no, it's you got to, match effort and attitude, mm-hmm. And if you don't bring those two, I don't know why you would think you're just supposed to get something mm-hmm. automatically.
And think about it. Think about how many kids have been, I don't believe in the term, they talk about bad kids. I don't believe in a bad kid.
Kids are
bad.
Make bad
decisions.
Everything we do is because of external influence.
Mm-hmm. Think about it. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. How many kids have you seen? Think about when you were growing up. Think about that kid that was labeled and defined as being bad. Mm-hmm. Think about the impact that had on their lives.
Yeah.
Some kids can bounce back from that. If you've ever been that kid, Mike, I don't know if I share this, but I want to. My kids, my son was going through some things, and he found a letter that one of my teachers wrote about my behavior when I was in second grade. And it started out with, the other boy initiated. But Anthony, before I knew it, Anthony had grabbed the guy by his throat and was choking the life out of him, basically. And when the teachers tried to intervene, it let's just say it escalated. Now, I'm not the first one to admit I got a temper. That's me. I'm a very passionate person. But the thing is, by reading that letter, we all laughed. I mean, I won't go into detail with it, but we all laughed because it was like, man, this kid sounds crazy.
But you're in second grade.
Exactly. But think about it. If my mother had read that, because it was addressed to her, and determined that's who I was going to be.
Right.
Would I have gone on to college? Would I have been a veteran? Would I have been a former police officer? Would I have been the person that I am today, mm-hmm. that to want to give back to the community? I mean, that label at second grade, I could have ended up in the penitentiary. Why not? Why not?
And many do.
Exactly.
You know?
Because of those labels. Think of when you were in school. Like I said, go back to that kid or those kids that were deemed bad, whether it be because of their own last name, whether it be by a simple bad mistake, a bad decision that they made, or decisions. And nobody looked into why Billy is acting out in class. You know, maybe that his home life is so horrific. Maybe there's nobody paying attention that Billy does things just to get that.
Right.
Because he doesn't understand. If you don't understand love at that young age, then you equate, you're missing something. So if the teacher has to constantly have dialogues with you or take you out in the hallway and talk to you, that's love. Mm-hmm. That's love, because nobody's paying attention to me at home. Yeah. So what am I going to do? The easiest thing I can do is cut up again and again and again so that she has to spend time with me. And then they send me to the principal, and then the principal's sitting down with me, spending time. I'm eating lunch in the principal's office or in the office with the secretaries and everything else. I've got the family that I don't have when I leave.
Right.
So no, when we don't have the time, and I'm not putting things on educators because, man, they're so busy.
Yes,
but the reality is, think about something. I go to the schools and I see the kids and I'm looking at them. Why are you in here? You know, I had a group of students that were having problems. And so they were my group. And we meet once a week. And my group started to grow. And I said, what's the problem why is this group growing? Why are we not having impact? And my students who were doing well said, you know what, you're doing good. You've graduated out of this. And the next week, we literally had one kid, we said, man, I'm so proud of you. Had cake and ice cream, proud of you, go on, it'll be great. Went out the door and slapped the girl in the face. In eyesight, came right back in and sat down. I was like, what are you doing? He didn't want to leave. Mm-hmm.
That's a self-sabotage.
We could have had a conversation, but that's what he did it for. And right there. So the reality is, I had to find a new way. I've got to find a new way so that these kids know they were valued and loved. And we can equate that to being successful as well. Because, like I said, I realized with me, and that was early on, that I was sending the wrong message. And the system in place, because I was saying, hey, be bad, come hang out with Mr. Law. Be bad, do something good, get a cake, get this, have rewards, have fun.
They only see him if they do something bad.
So you do something bad. So I said, wait a minute, I'm sending the wrong message. I thought I was doing good. But I'm like, man, so we got to figure out, okay, you're going to get even a greater reward for doing it out there. Be great out there. Because you can come in here and be the most polite kid in the world. I want to know how you're going to be out there. So we restructured things. But the point I was trying to make is, when we look at these kids and it's quick to come up with a label of bad. We need to sit back a little bit and give them something. That's sometimes too. It's easy. In our society, we define what's bad. Whatever it is, even for adults, what'll get you locked up. What kind of things will take that same person that doesn't feel valued, give them value? That's when it's a little bit harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we know if you want to make the front page of the paper, if somebody said, I'll give you $1 billion to both of you guys, who can make the front page of the paper first?
Me.
You know what? and I'm already a billionaire by the time you two figure it out. I've already robbed a liquor store because we all know what's the easiest way. Now I tell you, and also doing something positive. The ideas don't flow that fast because you're like,
But
That's
Anthony,
true,
one thing that was, it's like kind of like we went full circle on something. And I just want to point it out or share. But we were talking earlier. I was telling him I just kind of finished this section in a book I'm reading. It's about service and like how service is one of the most easy, natural ways for you to kind of get your heart and soul and mind right. By going out and doing something for somebody. It creates that purpose, that value, and also appreciation, because now you're seeing some folks that maybe you're like, oh my gosh, these people are in the same situation or in a worse situation, whatever. But that service is like the core, right? And so when you talked about the solutions program or getting these kids together and you want to do something, let's go out and clean the park. Let's go out and do service. And it starts creating that value and that tie to community. And then it starts changing like everything in a human. I truly believe that when you start like giving back, realizing that this world is not about you. that's when I think you can really start to get that level of happiness and feel a purpose, is when you see that it's really not about you. You know, you might be having a bad day. That's okay. Everyone's got them. Some have more, some fake it better, some make it whatever, you know. But I just found that really interesting as it was like a light bulb went off in my head about the ties to service, and then also the ties to helping, you know, these younger folks feel a purpose or feel better about life or whatever it is. I just thought that was really, really cool how that went. I literally just was talking to him earlier today about, man, I just got done reading this stuff about service. And I wish I could remember who I got this from, because it wasn't from the book. But it said it was something about the level of success or where you get in life it has a direct correlation to the level or amount of stuff you're willing to do with getting nothing back.
Yes.
You know? So the longer and more you're willing, if you're willing to do this for 5 years with getting nothing back, or 10 years or 20 years, there's like this crazy, you know, direct correlation to that level of happiness or success or whatever. It's kind of cool.
For sure. Anthony, when did you serve the military?
I served in the military. Let's see. I served. I was an enlisted person at first. So I joined the Army Reserves when I was in college, because I wanted to help pay for college. I didn't want the burden on there. I didn't want a whole bunch. So I joined. Went to basic after my freshman year. So that was 84. And then I served through 96.
For you to serve, you need to go through a test.
Yep.
Camp.
I got my commission. I went to, because I served as enlisted. Then I went to Western, and then I got an ROTC program. So then after that, I got my commission, and then I was in the reserves. And then Desert Storm came, so there was service there, combat service there, and then I came back. Like I said, came back home, and I was in the reserve. So I started with the Galesburg Police Department. And so I just did my reserve time through 96. And then I went ahead and said, you know what, I'm not going to re-up. I've done my time. I appreciate it. But I'm going to go ahead and...
What was that commission? Would you say the word commission?
Oh, that's when you get commissioned as an officer. So you can do it two ways. You can either go through OCS, which is officer course, the officer basic course, or you can go through ROTC. So I decided I wanted to go through ROTC once again to help pay for school. And so I got my commission at Western. Once you graduate and you go through 2 years of ROTC, you get your commission as a second lieutenant. So they commission you an officer, and then you go to officer basic course.
So do you still do boot camp?
You know, I did do that as an enlisted person. So I went through boot camp and AIT. I went through as a 12 Bravo, which is an engineer. But then when I got my commission, I went through officer basic course, and I went through as an infantry officer. And so I was an infantry officer as an officer. Then when I got my second lieutenant, and then I got promoted to a first lieutenant, and then I got promoted to captain by the time in 96.
Good for you, and thank you for your service.
Thank
I
you,
didn't know that. I knew you were a police officer at one point, but I had no idea you were in the military. So thank you for that too, man.
Thank you. I appreciate
so
that.
So let's go to the police officer.
Okay.
In Galesburg? Where
Yeah,
you
Galesburg, Illinois. I was part of Galesburg Police Department.
What made you? A lot of military transition back and forth law enforcement. Maybe that was your case, but what made you want to get into law enforcement?
Well, to be honest, I'm a big supporter of law enforcement. I always have been. I respect what they do. I never really wanted to be a police officer, to be honest. I graduated, like I said, and I did my military, and I was coming back. And my very dear friend of the family, I called her Aunt Willabelle Williams, who was a phenomenal woman in our community. She was police commissioner. My cousin Mickey Wilson had just retired. My other cousin Johnny Sibley he had went to state trooper. He'd been a state trooper. So there was no diversity on the department. So Aunt Willabelle basically reached out to me and asked would I mind testing. I said, I really don't want to, but I love Galesburg, and I thought this will be something I can do to help the community until they hire somebody else. So I tested, ended up being 6th or 7th on the list, which if you know about police, they always do a list every 2 years. I know that they had at least 5 that were retiring. So the first 5 got hired immediately. And then, let's see, I got a call. I tested in like the fall. And I got a call that spring saying, hey, do you want to come do this? Really wasn't looking forward to it, but I said, you know what? Okay, all right, I'll do it. I came, went to the academy, got out. My experiences with the Galesburg PD were good. But I do think this. I think if you're going to be a police officer, you need to truly be dedicated to that and what that all entails. It is a 24-hour day, 7-day a week career lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I never really felt committed to it on that level. I got to do some things. They had police explorers. They were kind of revamping that. I took over that and kind of did some things. Once again, what I do is trying to empower young people and helping to them getting them involved. So we kind of did that. I love that aspect. I also had an opportunity to do a couple of big events in the year, which was Safe Summer Day. Well, Safe Summer Day was a party that I had at the beginning of the summer, kind of focused on youth and being safe, making wise decisions. I had the police department sponsored with business sponsors. We'd have a dance. We'd have something for the younger kids in the day, and then a dance at night, prizes, fun, and all this, just games and all these things. And I did that for a couple of years, and I got to the point where I don't think I can do this. The things that I really had a passion for were too infrequent. And once again, I would never disrespect the field to the point I didn't want to be that guy that 20 years in, I'm doing it because it's a job and not my passion, because those people are dangerous. When it's not your passion, then it's dangerous because you got a gun, you have other weapons, you have the power to do a lot of dangerous things.
Yeah.
If you're not passionate about what you do, not saying I'm going to go out there and shoot up the people.
No.
But I knew that I was worried that I'd get to a certain age and become bitter. And once again, you can't be a bitter police officer and be
for sure.
Good for your community.
Well, and also too, I mean, I think the downfall too is you get exposed to so much stuff.
A lot of stuff.
And you almost even it's got to be easy to become numb to some things.
It would be, and like I said, we've got Galesburg, they've got a great department. I commend Monmouth over here as well. I know officers, I've worked with some of them from 30 years back, but I know, at a smaller community, it's even harder because that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, once again, and everybody knows who you are and what you do. There are some people that let you on your day off just be you. There are others that are going to be like, I've got an issue with the police officer. I got an issue with you personally, whatever the case may be. And I'm not. And there are some of those that I may be mad at you, that you're a police officer. I'm too stupid to realize that blanket of that coverage includes your family.
Right.
So I see the wife and kids out, hey, I can't stand your husband and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He did me. And it's like, your wife is like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Your kids are like, that's my dad. And then they got to go home and you got to hear, Dad, guess what happened?
Right.
Billy Smith came up to me and he cussed me out and said you were a piece of garbage, and you have to have the composure to be like, oh, okay. But then your next shift, you drive around and you see Billy Smith.
Right.
And you're thinking to yourself, oh,
right.
Let me go holler at Billy.
And that happens every day.
Man, bro, let me tell you.
I know.
I'm that kind of person. Like I said, I'm still that kid that you read in second grade, put his hands around that boy's throat. I'm that kind of person. I don't play that.
Yeah.
Not with my kids, my wife and my kids. If you got to beef with me, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. But leave them alone or we got a problem. So
Right.
I'm kept myself and my family safe because I could be in somebody's penitentiary right now and said, Billy Smith should have kept his hands to himself or his mouth to himself. And that's what happened. And that's the reality. That's why I commend them because, we're in tough times now. The very small percentage of people who abused the position of law enforcement, police officers, have made it hard for those that are committed to doing the job right.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where And a lot of people don't agree, and I really don't care. I've worked with a lot of members of law enforcement as a member of law enforcement and beyond, and 99.9 of them were great police officers. But the ones, when you ask people about police officers, they know the ones that made the mistakes. Because every day a guy goes in and does his job, a guy or girl goes in and does their job, and they go home. The ultimate goal for a police officer is to start your shift and end your shift without any harm coming to yourself or anybody else.
Right.
That's their goal. There are very few police officers that go out there and say, hey, I want to have a shoot up today.
Right.
I want to take somebody's life today. I want to put my hands on somebody today. Because that, like I said, even justified, there's no good that comes out of that.
No.
So the decisions that are made that cause a police officer to do those things are made from somebody else. And then I got to go home with that. And everybody, the one thing about me, I've never advocated for guns. I can say this now because it's 30 years. I can't tell you how many times I hate guns. I have a FOID card now, and I'm a gun owner, so don't come messing around, but I'm just saying. When I hated them to the point that there's a couple of times I went to work and didn't realize until I went to the station and, put your weapon away because, I'm going in to write a report, and there's no weapon to put away. I was like, where? Oh, shoot, I left it at home. That's how, now that makes me a careless officer, don't get me wrong, but that's how much I hated them. I think subconsciously. Because it happened more than once. Because I never wanted to be responsible. I mean, no matter what you do, I didn't want to be the one that have to take your life. But I knew ultimately I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'm going home. That's number one. So it's your decision. I get that. And even justifiable. We see it too much on TV, but justifiable killings. Somebody's got to live with that. That's the reality.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, even as a gun owner now, I've got adult kids who can come home. It's their home. They can come home anytime they want. God forbid, somebody decides we're going to surprise mom and dad. And I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And I pull the trigger. Right. And then I look up and it's one of my own. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. That's why when you see a lot of the, not knocking anybody, do what you do. You got a FOID card. Everybody's running to get a FOID card. Everybody's running to get carry and conceal. I wish that, I don't know what they taught because I haven't gone through that class. But I wish that some of these people would understand. It's all fun and games. And I'm not saying you don't have a right to defend yourself. But even justifiable. Somebody's lost a son or a daughter, a husband or wife, a father or mother, a brother or sister. Somebody. And I mean, whatever it is, are you willing to have that conversation? Am I willing to go to you and say, hey, I'm sorry that your son, for whatever reason, it may be justifiable, but you're still a father who's lost a child.
My question is, get ready for the cut, Adam. Do you think people should be armed, or most people, or do you, or what's your opinion about that?
My honest opinion is this: if for those that are overzealous, like I said, I think there should definitely more classes on the consequences thereof. I'm not saying that people don't have a right to protect their homes, so I don't have a problem in your home. What I don't understand is why people want to carry weapons to the store. Why do you want to carry a weapon to Walmart? Why do I want to carry a weapon to the doctor's office? I don't understand. I'm not knocking them.
Sure.
But I'm saying, and then Florida really scares me because,
Florida scares everybody.
Man, because I'm like, I'm loud. That's who I am. So if I bump into you or whatever and I say, hey man, I'm sorry, and you perceive my sorry as having an attitude and you feel quote unquote threatened and you put a bullet in my chest, that you can feel justified. I don't worry about the court cases. I'm already dead. What I'm worried about is you feeling comfortable enough because of the preceding court cases that I'm going to pull this bad boy. I'm carrying it and I'm pulling it. I'm waiting for somebody to piss me off. I'm waiting for somebody to park in the handicap parking.
And there's some people
exactly. Yeah. There's some.
When I was in banking for quite some time, and as a bank employee, you go through training on how to handle a bank robbery, which primary mission is get them in, get them out. Don't, give them what they want. You do not try to stop it.
It's insured.
As smooth as possible.
Right. We do not want anyone harmed in the bank, customers, anything. Give the man or woman the money, let them go. You do your best to remember characteristics you can fill out a profile sheet when it's done. And then one of the last few years I was in banking, there's, started to get the concealed carry where people can carry their firearm. But at the bank, and when you go to the bank, if you look, banks have a sticker up there. It's saying no firearms. Although you have the right to conceal, and carry, we don't want the firearms brought into the bank. And we had a customer come in real upset about this, real upset. I can't believe you guys are against guns. And like, oh, hold on. No one here is against guns. In fact, he over here hunts, he's got, there's plenty of people, firearms not the problem. We're trained on how to handle a bank robbery. You're not. So you might be trained on how to use that firearm, which is great. The last thing we want is a gun being fired in this bank lobby, period, right? So like you said, that money's insured. You can take that money. The bank will get it back, whether you get popped or not. The bank's going to get reimbursed. So that's not the end of the world. But like the guy literally couldn't wrap his head around the fact that like we don't, that's the last thing we want is someone standing there. Oh, shoot. A bank robbery is going down. I can handle this. And then they, draw their weapon and turn into a wannabe cop or whatever, And maybe they maybe they saved the day, but we still had someone shot, harmed, or injured or whatever in the bank,
And it's similar to schools, the same.
Yeah, you don't bring a gun. Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy to me, though. But and it just goes back to perception, right? Like some perception is one's reality. And so their perception is that I can't believe you can't understand, what I'm going. I'll never have a problem with firearms. I don't, to me, it is completely up to you. Where we have a problem is maybe how easily some people can obtain them. And I don't care what law, this is just my opinion here, but I don't care what laws you put in place. There's laws against a ton of drugs, you can find those. There's laws against breaking into a car. The cars are getting broken into every day. It's not a law issue. It's what can we do? I don't know what the answer is, but I know it's not just taking away or saying guns are illegal. Drugs are illegal and they're everywhere. So if you're telling me, if I understand handguns are illegal in the city of Chicago, but that's where you can find the most handguns in the state. So it's not, I just don't believe it's an issue of where we can put a law and make it better.
No, I agree with you. And I look at it like this. I'll give you a prime example of why. All right. So one of the things, you two, and you seen Vic's car, right?
We're going all over the place today.
You seen Vic's car, right?
Oh yeah, flying by me.
The baller car. He's got a baller car.
He's flying by me.
Because I was looking at it. I'm going to talk to you about that later. Anyway, he's got so you two, let's say you two get in the car. You're going to some place, some business venture, whatever the case may be. One of you decides, hey, I need to carry because it's important. We need to be safe. An officer that doesn't know you doesn't see two young men who have impacted their community, who are fathers, who are husbands, who are, who you are. They see two young men, and before you can get out a card that says you have a right to carry, we're dealing with two funerals. Now, my question is, after the fact, how do you go to your significant others? How do you go to your children and say, Dad had a place to go that he felt was so important to carry a gun, and now he's gone? How does the police officer deal with the fact that, man, I didn't know these guys were that great. I didn't know. I just saw them in a nice car with tinted windows. I saw the gun. And once again, remember what his goal is, to go home safe.
Yeah.
He's not a bad person. He just say, hey, I don't know you two.
Right.
I mean, that's the reality. So I'm thinking, if you two had to venture off someplace, where are you going that is so dangerous that one of you decides, man, I better pack my gun.
It's better not to go.
And why? That's the thing.
So why go?
I'm not going.
Right.
We better zoom this bad boy because obviously wherever we're going is not safe.
Yeah.
Because that's the reality. Now, you have a right, if you say, you have a right to carry. I'm not knocking that. But then again, you have a right to carry, but you have a responsibility to everybody who loves you, who needs you to come home, who needs those factors that come up in life. Either one of you may have never had any problems with the law before.
Yeah.
Never.
It happens.
It's that one time Vic decides his foot gets heavy, going over a little bit over, and the police officer pulls over just to have a conversation. And one of you has a gun on his hip just because. Because you got the right. But your responsibilities outweigh your right, because your responsibility is for both of you to go home. And if we got to go in some places is that dangerous, we're not going. Right. It's the same thing when people talk about, well, if I go on vacation with my family. I'm not taking my family any place that I got to carry a gun. Because if I shoot and somebody else has a gun, they might miss me, but they hit one of my kids. Was it that important?
Right. Wouldn't devil's advocate be, well, I want to be prepared for if something.
Stay home.
Because look, right? I understand. Yeah. That would be devil's advocate, right?
I got you.
Because look, there's movie theaters.
I got you.
It happens. Schools have it. So
I got you.
And I'm not even saying this is where conversations start being had. Though, is they're going, well, it might happen, and I'm going to be ready for it when it does. But then that also goes hand in hand with the almost like I like to say, if you go out looking for trouble, you're going to find trouble. Yeah. You know, a lot of people got a chip on their shoulder for whatever reason, and the minute somebody disrespects them, and they're ready to like, you know, no, I didn't mean anything by that. Hold on a second, you know, let's not get all worked up. It's already too late. Someone's already. So it's such a dangerous overall situation. And right, it would just make the most sense to just not have the gun. That way, you know, worst case scenario, you don't lose, make one of those bad decisions. But also whenever one of those incidents happen, the reality, and I think you kind of hit on this earlier, is there's no winner. You know, all parties, outside of you maybe being the last one that's living, that if that's your winning, I can only imagine you got to have some sort of nightmares.
You got to deal with that.
Like there's a lot of stuff.
To me, it's better to get robbed than to know that you killed someone.
Take it, please don't.
Yeah. You know, because think about it. Like I said, okay, so we all have, we don't know each other. We're in a store. Everybody in here has got a gun. I'm the bad guy. Okay, you don't know him, you don't know me. I pull my gun. Everybody pulls theirs. Now, did I come in by myself?
Yeah.
Is that my partner?
Right.
Is that my partner? Is that my partner? So the best bet you got is to shoot all of us.
Or run.
Exactly. But if you got a gun and you plan on being, you know, you Superman, whatever, you got to shoot us all.
Yeah.
So you shoot me.
That's when it gets scary.
So who's the bad guy? So we shoot everybody, find out, man, this man he just got his Ford car. He's trying to go on his people. Right. Now, he might have been insane. He's the one we surely should have walked. And maybe I pulled mine because I saw his gun.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I'm somebody's pawpaw that just went out to get ice cream for the kids.
Yeah.
Now you done ruined their party.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Reality.
I mean, there's so
scary.
many scenarios. And that's even for a police officer. There's some police officers that are advocates for concealed carry. But most, if you talk to them, because if I'm let's say that where I'm robbing the place, once again, everybody's got a gun, the police officer comes in, he doesn't know us.
Yeah.
So now, instead of they having to deal with one person with a weapon, he's got four. Once again, his job is to want to go home. And three of them, not knocking you guys, just saying, three of them aren't trained in being police officers.
Right.
So what are you going to do? I mean, so now he's got a tough, he not only does have a quick decision to figure out which one of us is the bad person, he got to figure out which one of us is not.
Right.
You just added a burden to that.
It's just a lose.
Like I said, it's not as simple as people try to make, even when we got going, we going now, but even when things were going on with the schools initially, and one of the debates was, we want to arm our teachers. Man, I got enough of a challenge teaching Billy and Susie how to read and write.
Right.
Now you want me to go through weapon training?
Right.
And now I got to carry a weapon too? Some of these kids
You should have just went and been a cop.
Exactly.
I thought I was a teacher.
Exactly. So what are you doing?
Yeah.
They're not even asking the teachers.
Right.
And the ones that are saying, hey, I'll carry a gun, those are the ones we need to be scratching their head. Wait a minute. You gung-ho about this gun? Let me check some of your grades and see how my kids are doing. You know what I'm saying? Because I'd really rather you focus on preparing my kids' educational future than carrying a gun. Now, granted, gun shootings are the worst thing in the world, but I don't know if they'd be made any better if you arm police officers. I don't know why I do know. I have some theories about why people choose schools to attack because it's an act of terrorism. And I mean, if you want to really disrupt a country, a nation, you target their kids. I mean, that's just common sense. It's terrorism. Yeah. I wish we would view it more as a country as what it is than as the individual. Individuals are doing anything, but it's an act of terrorism. We need to address it as such. Find out from the root of the behavior why. It's bigger than bullying. There are kids that have been historically, young kids have been bullied their over their lives, and they haven't gone and shot up schools. So it's different. There's something else going on that we need to figure out, and that's a whole nother one. That's a whole nother podcast.
Sure.
But it, I truly go back to what I said before. There's mental health, of course, but that I don't believe in the bad kids. So there's things that are being done, and I'm sure if they did enough of a study, they could see things that are being done that will be, go across the board. Maybe small things. When they do studies, I know when they had shooters at the college level, they were starting to look, and they said, there were red flags for the student shooters. There was the stress, which every college student has stress. But there were different stressors. There was reaching out for help. There were different departments that weren't connecting with each other. Oh, Billy's in my class. He's a zip damn fool, and he's in my class, and he's sleeping, and then he's cussing and fighting the teacher, arguing with the teacher. He's in this class, and he's threatening to do this, and they weren't communicating. So there were one incidents that when they looked at it and put it all together, they said, "My gosh,
It's a lot of.
there's a whole bunch of things going on for the last month or so." And one of the things he said is, "I'm gonna hurt somebody." The one factor they saw is, "I'm gonna hurt somebody." And then he did it. And it's like, but people were scratching their head. Oh, he said it one time, but he said so many other things. No, he said it 100 times, just in different scenarios. So, that's one of the things I think that we need to look at as well, identify what it is, and then see what we can do. The young mind is not developed until the mid-20s anyway. So, I think it takes a disconnect to want to do harm to those people that and so we really have to figure that out.
That's something I wish there was, easy.
It's not simple.
No, it's not, and it's so. I mean, there is. We'll never solve it. Not on this table,
No, we've got it.
Gosh, I would love to see some sort of answer, and it's not just making a law. It's not coming and taking the guns away, or I don't know. But at the end of the day, I think it's like a Beatles song. All you need is love.
I agree with you.
But how do you get it done? I don't know. And I think there's a lot of people. Politicians, parents, family, people like what we're doing right now, who are down to have the conversation. We genuinely care. I think there's a whole lot of people that want to see it stop, but being able to work together and find that common ground is probably, in now's day more than ever, going to be very difficult, because how divided and how people get so hung up on their thoughts and their beliefs. And if you're different, then you're damned, and that doesn't have to be that way.
And it goes back to what we talked about, what I said that you've done, giving a voice to those. You can ask me my opinion. I'm almost 60. Okay. What school I go to that I'm gonna shoot up?
Right.
But it's giving a voice to those kids. What do you see? What are the young people? What are you seeing in your classroom? And maybe if you invite 10 kids, that one out of 10, maybe that kid that's on the border who doesn't feel like they have a voice, and just having that, giving them a voice, they can get some of that, whatever it is out of there. I'm not saying that's gonna solve everything, but I can say that even the accountability, the exposure and the accountability that goes with that, can change behaviors. Hey, I heard you on the radio, talking about your school, talking about this, talking about what you're doing right now. And there's an accountability to that. I can't go in there and be the class idiot, because I know people listen, and I may get a chance to go back. It's an accountability. You know what I'm saying? And we've got to learn as a society too. And this, I'm all over the place, but this is one thing I think it kind of ties in. We've got to learn about a way to celebrate our youth that has nothing to do with a score or a number on their shirt. Our student athletes, I was a student athlete, I get it. I support student athletes because that's juggling a lot. But most of these shootings, most of the students that act out in the behavior, it's not the student athlete, because they already have support. They have the school, they have the coaches, they have the boosters, they have everybody. It's that kid in the middle, not the straight A student, because they've got everything they need to help them be that way, because you very rarely do you achieve. It's a whole plethora of things that help support that behavior. Then there's those ones that at the bottom, and I'm not saying academically, I'm not saying financially, I'm saying those kids that cause the problems that everybody knows, because there's Billy. He's going to cut up 4, 5, 3, 2, 1, boom, there he goes. You know what I mean? It's that kid in the middle who doesn't feel valued, who's not on anybody's team, who is doing the best they can, and their best will never take them there. But it's the best that they have to give. We've got to learn a way to identify and celebrate and support and encourage, because most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, we were here. We weren't here. Right. And if we was here, well, congratulations, you pulled yourself up. Most of us were right here in the middle. So we know how it feels. So we got to figure out a way as adults, how to win as a community, as a society, how to celebrate those kids. And that's one of the things I like to do at Sandburg. I like to celebrate those students who have improved the most, those students who are giving the greatest effort, because everybody in this room has a best them. It's not for me to define. It's for you to figure out and define. And what my job is with all of the kids I work with is to help you define so that you can achieve it. Who is the best Lauren? What are Lauren's best qualities? What is his skill set? If we all measure ourselves in the same capacity as Vic, I've seen him play soccer. Phenomenal athlete. I don't have it in me. So I'll always come up short. So I got to look at, somebody's got to help me. And for kids, it's really got to help me define me. Not you to say, well, Anthony, I see this in you and I see that in you. Because if I don't see it, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Lauren, what is your skill set? What are you good at?
I still don't know.
And that's all right. You know what? But that's
why I'm sitting here. I'm trying to figure this all out.
Because your skill set changes all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Once you're exposed to different aspects of who Lauren is every day. Every day, if I can't at my age, I know you guys are at half my age. Every day I find out a skill set that Anthony has that he can develop.
That's true.
Because when I first started doing what I do now, when I first developed Men of Distinction, Women of Character, I didn't know I could do it. Matter of fact, most of the people told me it wouldn't work. I'm proud to say that I'm very good at it. But I had to find it. I found that at 45.
That's cool.
So I know that, you guys aren't done finding out who you are. But as you raise your kids, be very careful, because once you reach a level of success, you look for that same thing in your kids, because they look like you, because they have your same last name, because they're your seed. They're going to find their own selves. And if you don't help them find it, other people will, and they're going to impose whatever they see in them on them. That's why back in the day, I don't know, gangs aren't as prevalent as they used to be. That's what the gangs did so recruiting so well. They found the negative that they could use in kids and said, man, you need to join us because this is what you do. They gave them an identity. And parents weren't paying enough attention to say, okay, you define who you are. What are you good at? And I had my kids, sometimes they would be pissed off at me. Try everything. Try art, try music, try athletics, try everything till you find out where your passion is. And then once you're passionate about it, I didn't have to force them anymore. They figured it out and they did it. And I was open enough, and this is the worst thing, because they say, well, my kids start something and then they want to quit. There's nothing wrong with that. Your kid is growing and developing every day. The musician that was in 5th grade and loved playing the trombone, in 7th grade is a whole different person almost.
Right.
So why would you force, you're not going to quit band. You're going to keep with that band because I played for that instrument. I'm an artist now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so go be artist. But whatever you do, I don't care how many times you quit. Quit with passion.
Yeah. Quit with passion.
Because that same passion is going to be in you. Find something else that you have a passion for and knock it out the park. But the one thing we didn't do, we didn't just quit to do nothing.
Right.
You got to figure it out. And I was one of those few parents that when video games came around, and everybody was like, and you got to get your kids off video games. My kids love video games, and they were good. And I supported that. What do you want to do? And I would go in there and play with especially my middle son all the time. He would kill me in this stuff. I'm like, man, bro, I'm good at this. You're fantastic. And eventually that passion led to track and cross country. I didn't force it. I didn't say stop or whatever, but he found his passions. My daughter, she is passionate about everything she does. So I just let her, hey, whatever. And I support whatever. My oldest is the weird one of that group. No, I'm just teasing. He's fantastic too. It was baseball at one time, and then it was business. He went to school for business, did well, and now he's living his best life.
Good for
him.
And
he loves to do. I never thought he really had much of a sense of humor, but as he got older, he became hilarious. He really is funny. I watch him he does these little skits and stuff on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. I'm not really that guy, but anyway, and he's just hilarious, which it blows my mind because I'm sitting here laughing at him saying, man, is this my kid? Because he was so serious before.
Hey, but you continue to evolve.
You evolve.
One of my biggest pet peeves is when, it's holidays right now. So friends come back, they've been gone for 20 years.
You
and
changed.
They come back. Well, it's not only that, it's what I'm getting at. Yeah, a lot of them are like, man, you've kind of grown up a little bit. Not really. But what I'm getting at is sometimes you'll be talking with a buddy and they'll be like, bring up so-and-so. Oh, man, Anthony Law. Yeah, man, I hate that guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, when's the last time you talked to him? Mm-hmm. Like 22 years. Mm-hmm. And you are going to say you hate that guy? It's been 22 years. You don't know... He could have. Hey. He might still be the guy that you hate. I don't know, but most likely over these 22 years, dude's probably done a little bit of change and some growth. And I would like to think that maybe you are the person that you are upset with. Not I don't know. It's just so chummy to like. Do you know what I mean? It drives me nuts, man. And and it bothers me because you think, okay, well, you hear people talk like this. Gosh, I wonder if there's someone out there that really is like, you know what, Lauren, in 1997, man, because I did used to do this in high school. I love to go up behind people and just knock the books out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were a jerk.
But I was doing it
jerk.
I was doing it to people I knew. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just something stupid like that. But if someone was really hanging on to that, man, in 1997, Lauren, I still hate that dude. Like, that would kind of bother me, not going to lie. They would be like, well, I'm not even anywhere close to that guy in 1997, Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That's something I always kind of crack up at when I visit with friends. And I kind of will put them in check and be like, come on, man, let's maybe change our outlook on that. Let's not get so hung up on all that.
No, and I'm going to blow your mind. There's somebody right now that hates you.
Oh, yes,
there's somebody right now that's pissed off for you for what you've done just today that has given you a space in their mind. It has nothing to do with you.
Right. Yeah.
It has to do with the simple fact that you are living your best life.
It's their problem.
And they're not. I love being in a room. And, it's funny you should mention that because I got people that hate me from 30, 40 years ago. I love being in a room of people that don't like me. I love it. I love when they're uncomfortable. And people say, man, my wife all the time, why do you like that? I said, because if I truly have not done anything to them, that's all on them. And they have to deal with it because I'm not going anyplace.
Their problem.
And true. I love when they hate from a distance, but I really love when they hate within arm reach. Because what you gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to try to fight or anything. I'm not trying to be like, but I'm in arm's reach. Mm-hmm. What you gonna do about it? But sit there and wallow in your own hatred.
Right.
The thing is, as we become successful, and success can be measured in different ways. I measure success in the joy that I have at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As you become successful and I see success in both of you, not only now at this point, but because I've known where you were at one point in your lives. Mm-hmm. Now you were down and out, but I see the transition. I see the growth. So believe me, in just the growth that you both have done, and the transition that you've made, and the outlook of both of your futures, there's a lot of people sitting around with hate in their heart. A lot of people trying to figure out, why him? Why him? Who's he think he is? He came here from Brazil. I've been here my whole life. He ain't supposed to be doing that.
He's got an accent.
Exactly. He's not even from here. And why this guy? He said, knock people's books out of their hand. Really? What a jerk. Why is he happy? Why is he living his best life? And using all of that energy, instead of focusing that energy back on themselves, saying, let me get my stuff together. Because, or more importantly, if you're living such a life that makes me envious, this is my mindset. I'm going to be like, hey, Lauren, hey, I'm keeping it 100, man. What are you doing and how are you doing it? You know what I'm saying? If anybody that I'm envious of, I got to call them.
Yeah.
Because I'm not envious of a lot of people, but anybody I'm envious of, oh, hello. Or I'm sending them, hey, bro, you don't even have my number. But can you call me? Hey, my name is Anthony Law. I just got to say, man, you kicking butt over there. Help me, guide me. This is my vision. What advice do you have?
Ask questions. Yep.
Because I don't have time to be envious and jealous because it doesn't do anybody any good.
Well, the reality is if I spend enough time worrying about you and picking you apart, I don't have to deal with my own personal issues.
There you go. That's it in a nutshell.
So I can look at what's going wrong out here. I can go to Facebook. I can just scroll and scroll and scroll and never ever have to really worry or fix about what I'm doing because I'm gonna just exert that unhappiness or something elsewhere.
Have you heard about stoicism?
is it?
Being stoic. Stoic is someone that, is when you know that you should only spend energy with things that make sense. And if you cannot control, basically you should just worry about the controllables, things that you can control. If someone else is not liking you, that's not on you. That's not your problem. Do not spend energy with that because it's not your problem. If it's something you can change, you can go and try to change. But if someone just don't like you, that's okay. It's on them. It's their problem. It has nothing to do with me, and I'll keep doing my thing. You know,
that's the reality. Think about this. And we all, let's be honest, we can all do things that make us unlikable at times. I know. I said sometimes I can just be a butt. I know that. Okay, if that gave you a reason not to like me, that's fine. But if it's because I'm doing or trying or being the best me, and once again, that's defined by me. By nobody else but me. You know, if when I've met both of you, if you'd asked me, Anthony, where do you think I should be in 5-10 years? And you listened to me and gave my opinion value, neither one of you would be where you are right now. That's the reality. At some point, you both defined and decided where you wanted to be. And that's what got you here. And that's what's going to get you wherever you are tomorrow. It's definitive. I look at Vic again, and like I said, I look at the courage it took to leave everything you know, to go to some place where you know nothing about, and not just go and arrive and exist, but to make a real impact. You know, when I told you guys before, and I told you this, the two most important things you can do in life is impact and inspire. Whatever you do, make a solid impact on those around you and beyond, and inspire people that you may never meet to find their best by being your best. And that's it. Impact those around you and inspire those that are not. And it does. You don't have to be in proximity with anybody to inspire. Sometimes just being the best you, and that's definable. And that's not. They're not defining what they're going to be. Not anything more, but being the best you. Because the best you is going to give opportunities to others to be the best them. And that's what you've done here with this. This is a platform for people to share, to reach out, to inspire. You know, I don't know who's going to look at this and be inspired by anything I said, but there may be somebody.
There will be.
And to an impact. And I like to believe that, never take credit, but I'd like to believe in our conversations over the years that I had the opportunity to make an impact on both your lives because you both did that for me.
That's cool, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Well, there's a reason we've stayed in touch for 8 to 10 years. I can tell you that, man. I have a genuine appreciation for everything that you do, for our youth, for yourself, for your family, and everyone that you've impacted along your story, and you're still writing it. And I appreciate you supporting us as we try to write ours.
Yeah. I do. And I love you guys. I love you guys, and I do. You know, I don't throw that out just willy nilly. You know that. You know me. But I love what you do. I love who you become, and I love who you're becoming. And I think, you know, like I said, continue to use your platform and the opportunities that you have to impact and inspire others.
Yeah, thank you. That's our goal. That's literally our goal. We know everyone out here has a story, and we just would like to provide a platform for local people to talk about that. And also, if we get some listeners who feel inspired, or maybe they were having a day and anything that came out of that helped change or make it better, and we're all for it.
For sure. That's the goal.
I truly do. I hope so. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
So much,
I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Anthony Law, humanitarian,
I don't know about
husband, father, philanthropist, whatever. But thank you so much, man, for taking the time, and I appreciate you supporting us like you do, for real.
Thank you for listening to Old Man Ramble. I appreciate it.
All right.
See you guys next week.
Lauren Fulmer,
Victor Dantas,
and Anthony Law, thank you so much. You're going to catch another tune into the Talk About It podcast and catch up with us on our next episode.
See you guys.
All right. Thank you for watching this episode of the Talk About It podcast.
I'm Victor Dantas.
I'm Lauren Fulmer.
And we would encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell. It's going to be right below the video. So you
hit the bell.
So you know when the next episode is up.
We appreciate all the support.
Thank you.